In the modern world, it is said that nothing is original until China copies it. Yes, China copies everything, but does it really work? In 2004, the world's leading train makers from Japan, Germany, and France were invited to China. They were offered a massive prize, a chance to build the future of Chinese transport. But there was a catch. To win the contract, they had to share their most precious secrets, their blueprints. At that time, the West saw China as just a massive, underdeveloped market. They were the engineers, and China was just the customer, buying technology it couldn't dream of inventing. But while the Western engineers were signing the contracts, the Chinese were studying. Fast forward just 10 years to 2014. Those same global giants opened the news. To a shock, China hadn't just built a railway. They had built the largest high-speed rail network on the planet. And they weren't using Japanese or French trains anymore. They were using their own, the Fuxing series. The quality? Equal to the best in the world. The speed? Even faster. But the price? 30% cheaper than anything the West could offer. In a single decade, China had transformed from a customer into a student, then a competitor, and finally, the global leader. They were executing the largest copy-paste operation in human history. From the tracks beneath our feet to the AI in our phones, machines, all types of products, and even cities. China is also capturing the technological fortresses the West spent 50 years building. But is this just simple theft? Or the most brilliantly designed economic strategy in history? To understand this, we must examine who is actually paying the bill for all this progress. Perhaps their greatest innovation wasn't a single product, but the mastery of turning the world's most expensive inventions into the world's most accessible essentials. Inventing something from scratch is like walking through a pitch-black room. You trip, you fall, and you spend billions just to find the light switch. In 2022 alone, Apple spent $25 billion on innovation. OpenAI is raising billions to keep the lights on for its GPT models. In economics, we refer to this as the 0 to 1 risk. It's the cost of failure. When you buy an iPhone, half of that price isn't for the parts. It's for the thousands of failed experiments that never made it to the shelf. Chinese companies have a different philosophy. They view this entire stage as outsourcing. Their strategy is cold and efficient. Let the West open the path. Let them spend the billions. Let them make the mistakes. We will just wait at the edge of the woods and lay the asphalt once the path is clear. Take the AI sensation DeepSeek. While Silicon Valley was burning through cash to find the how, DeepSeek took open-source architectures and redesigned them for economic efficiency. The result? The same intelligence at 1/10 the cost of OpenAI. By copying the cost of innovation rather than the innovation itself, China turns the West's R&D bill into its own profit. The West pays for the research, the West opens the path, and China turns that path into a highway. In economics, we call this the latecomer's advantage. Western companies have a weakness, the hunger for growth. They are desperate to enter the massive Chinese market of 1.4 billion people. But Beijing has a rule, the joint venture. If you want to sell in China, you must find a local partner and share your trade secrets, codes, and blueprints with them. China uses these joint ventures as a Trojan horse. The EV manufacturer BYD is the star student of this system. They started by copying Nokia and Motorola batteries. Then, they studied Tesla's production model, but they went one step further: vertical integration. While Tesla buys parts from outside, BYD produces everything, from batteries to chips, in its own factories. They imported Western tech, merged it with China's massive production capacity, and now dominate the world with EVs that are 30% cheaper. In 2011, Elon Musk laughed during an interview when BYD was mentioned. Today, the table has turned. In 2010, BYD had nearly 0% global market share. By the end of 2025, BYD dethroned Tesla. BYD became the world leader with approximately 22% of the global EV market, while Tesla's share fell to 11%. In 2025, BYD sold 4.8 million vehicles, BEV plus PHEV. Even in pure electric, BEV sales, it went neck and neck with Tesla. Tesla sold 2.1 million vehicles, less than half of BYD's total. While Tesla is stuck in the luxury segment, BYD dominates the market with models for every budget, from $10,000 to $150,000. Is the strategy successful? Yes, but with a twist. BYD copied Tesla's luxury and tech model and added vertical integration. Now, they mass-produce longer-range, cheaper EVs for the entire world. If you think this strategy is limited to heavy machinery or cars, look at your phone. China has moved from copying steel to copying the human psyche. TikTok took the social networking concept of Facebook and Instagram, but embedded the world's most perfect addiction algorithm. Today, it's not about how many users you have, it's about how long you keep them on the screen. TikTok, with 1.9 billion users, is crushing the competition. Average daily engagement on TikTok is 110 minutes, compared to 65 minutes for Instagram, 75 minutes for YouTube, and just 35 minutes for Facebook. For advertisers, time is money. Because TikTok keeps users 70% longer, it takes a bigger slice of the global ad revenue every year. By the end of 2025, TikTok Shop's GMV exceeded $50 billion. For the first time in history, the roles have reversed. Normally, China copies, and the West innovates. TikTok flipped the script. Silicon Valley is now the copycat. YouTube copied TikTok to create Shorts, hitting 70 billion daily views by late 2025. Meta redesigned Instagram to create Reels. For the first time, Silicon Valley giants are forced to copy a Chinese company's product design. Then there is Temu. They copied Amazon's logistics, but cut out all the expensive Western middlemen, connecting the factory directly to the consumer's door. This is a deflation bomb dropped on Western economies. Amazon's 30-year empire is being shaken by a 3-year copy strategy. In 2022, Temu's market share was less than 1%. By late 2025, Temu is neck and neck with Amazon in the cross-border e-commerce market, with both holding about 24% share. While 80% of U.S. shoppers still use Amazon, Temu has captured 45% of Gen Z and low-income earners. In 2025, Amazon had 610 million monthly active users, MAU, while Temu reached 520 million. Temu reached 85% of Amazon's scale in just 3 years, growing 10 times faster. Why? Gamification. Temu is less like a shop and more like an e-commerce casino with wheels to spin and free gifts to win. A user spends 8 minutes on Amazon, but 18 to 20 minutes on Temu. By removing warehouses and middlemen, they hit Amazon not with speed, but with price. Even lifestyle models are being copied. Look at Luckin Coffee, Starbucks' Chinese nightmare. They took the third-place concept but added digital speed, no cash, app only, and a pickup focus. By turning shops into small kitchens without seating or waiters, they cut costs by 70%. By late 2025, Luckin had over 22,000 stores compared to Starbucks' 9,000 in China. Luckin holds 35 to 40% of the market, while Starbucks dropped to 15 to 18%. Luckin's annual revenue surpassed $4.5 billion, leaving Starbucks $3.2 billion in the dust. The student has officially outplayed the master. It's the same in AI. DeepSeek copied and optimized OpenAI's reasoning capabilities. Processing 100 million tokens with GPT-4o costs $1,300. But with DeepSeek R1, it's only $274. OpenAI's training cost was over $3 billion. DeepSeek's was only $5.6 million. And finally, humanoid robots. By the end of 2025, over 80% of global humanoid robot installations were in China. Companies like Algebot and Unitree took the technologies Boston Dynamics spent decades developing and moved them to the mass production line. Even Tesla's Optimus is trailing behind. Algebot leads the market with a 31 to 39% share. Why isn't China ashamed of copying? In the West, stealing an idea is a crime. Intellectual property is sacred, because Western philosophy is built on individual genius and ownership. But in China's heart, there is a different code: Shanzhai. Shanzhai isn't just about copying, it's about modifying, democratizing, and making technology accessible to everyone. In the 6th century, the artist Shi He established the 6 principles of Chinese painting. The 6th was Chuanyi Muxi, transmission by copying. According to this principle, copying a masterpiece is the only way to keep its spirit alive. If you don't copy, knowledge dies. In Confucianism, imitating a master is not an insult. It is a way to honor them. This is why what a Western CEO calls theft, a Chinese engineer calls the socialization of knowledge. The West says, "This is mine." China says, "This is great, so why shouldn't everyone benefit?" To them, knowledge is a tool for the rise of society, not a property to be imprisoned. It's a difference in cosmology. The West is I, China is we. West is original, China is evolution. Today, DeepSeek's open sourcing and rapid development, or BYD's integration of Tesla's patents into their own production, is the reflection of this 1,500-year-old philosophy in modern factories. China is not copying the world. China is rebuilding the world's knowledge through its own filter. While the West focuses on invention, China focuses on execution. If an invention stays in a lab, but a copy enters every home, who will history record as the winner? The inventor, or the one who made it cheap enough to change the world? But can this last forever? China has moved from a copycat to a fast follower. But what happens when there is nothing left to copy? China is now leading in robotics and AI, but this aggressive strategy is causing the West to close its doors. Tariffs, chip bans, and sanctions are mounting. The copy-paste empire is facing a system that is finally turning against it. Ultimately, China didn't reinvent the wheel. It just found out how to spin it faster, cheaper, and more relentlessly. Can copying innovation eventually take it away from the creator? And who will history remember as the hero? What do you think? Will the copy-paste empire eventually collapse under its own weight? Or is this the new global standard? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated on the shifting tides of the global economy.